Hey guys, so I just finished watching Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episode 22, The End. I finished watching it over an hour ago now, and I'm still just processing the whole ending of it. On the first off, the one thing that pisses me off with the whole thing is that there is no connection to Infinity War. There's no the fallout of Infinity War is not whatsoever apparent or even in here type thing, and it is disappointing because we got those references as to what was going on before in Infinity War, but that was just referencing, just kind of like, did you hear what's going on in New York? And they just kind of put that in there as if to say, we assume that there's something at some point is going to happen in New York because Spider-Man's there, Tony's there, the Sanctum Sanctorum is there, so they're going to do something there, and it's just obvious that New York will be affected type thing in Infinity War, even if they didn't see the script. So it is disappointing that they didn't know that the writers of the movie, and they couldn't just give the writers of the TV show I'm talking like the last, just the two creators of the Jed Whedon and his wife, I can't think of her name, but who are the two creators who are running the show, the two writers, and just give them the actual ending, and just leave that. I think that would have been really cool with this ending. So I think they could have used it in a different way. They could have got their same exact ending as we had. It's just the means of getting that ending could have been via the ending of Infinity War, and hopefully by now you've seen that and you realize what I'm talking about. So I'm trying not to spoil it, but at the same time, I don't know why you'd be watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and not watching the movies, but I'm going to try not to spoil the Infinity War movie. So let's jump into this show. First, to start off, we see Yo-Yo ends up, everyone's still arguing over, do we save Coulson? Do we stop Talbot and stuff? And Yo-Yo steals Daisy's about to take the centipede stick thing, and Yo-Yo tries to take it, and Yo-Yo swoops it away. And then Mac makes a really good hope speech, just saying that we should, vote on it to see what's going to happen. And then May ends up taking the serum from Yo-Yo. But she ends up she takes something and smashes it on the ground, and then Yo-Yo just gets all distraught, and then May just kind of takes it from her hands, and it was unclear as to what she did. I didn't see what May picked up to break that caused Yo-Yo so much emotional distress that she was just able to take it from her. Did she have some sort of EMP that kind of turned off her gauntlets and stuff, her arms, because they were fine to work afterwards for the rest of the episode? That was just unclear there, and I just kind of went by too fast. I didn't see what she picked up from the table and smashed it on the ground to do that. It seemed like it was something that that Yo-Yo was holding, was close to Yo-Yo enough to affect her like that, for her to drop on the ground and put her guard down and just give up the serum like that. But it just didn't make sense to me as to what the hell was it, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what that was. So maybe I'll try and rewatch it just to then download the episode, just be able to go through and see that scene. What the hell was she, did she pick up, type of thing. Fitz and Simmons are going to turn it into a cure for Coulson. Talbot ends up flying his ship into Chicago. At first, I thought it was New York City. I was like, New York City, that's going to be Chicago. I was hoping that it was New York City. That's a bit too big. They can't, I think this S.H.I.E.L.D. show can't really blow up New York City because, if it's all in the MCU, then it has to affect the Netflix shows. It has to, has referenced in the movies and stuff. It's just too big to destroy New York City. Without the plausible deniability that no one would ever reference it, and any, going from this show to, Luke Cage or Iron Fist coming up and finding out that it's completely, it's completely fine. There's nothing, it's not affected type thing. That would not make sense. Talbot flies a ship in Chicago to try and he's looking for the more of the stuff there. What do you call it? The gravitonium. Coulson ends up waking up, and he wakes up in this episode and starts talking to Yo-Yo, and Yo-Yo is explaining how she doesn't want him to die, but she's just one person's life over the world is the math works out there type of thing. So And then we see Deke talking to Daisy, and he's, wanting to leave and go take off because, like he says, is when he wants to go and just explore the world before, if they do change the timeline, then, things he'll just blink out of existence type thing. Then May ends up since May took the serum and had Fitz and Simmons put together a cure for Coulson via the centipede serum. May ends up giving that decision to Coulson whether or not he takes it, and Talbot starts taking gravitonium from the Earth, so like literally ripping it out and starts destroying all of Chicago and stuff in the midst of it. Daisy ends up putting Mac in charge when she realizes that her emotions are getting the best of her and she's not really leading them in a proper direction. He feels that, and she literally says that Mac has the biggest heart of them all, physically and emotionally type thing, so he's the perfect one to lead with that. Coulson is walking around and he agrees with that. Mac chooses to save the world. Coulson doesn't take the cure. He forces Daisy to go out and fight on Talbot alone, and she does. Coulson and Talbot ends up flying in the air and slams Daisy in the ground. Does all kinds of cool stuff. Then is surprised that Daisy is able to take all that force type thing. And then Fitz, when she gets hit in the ground, Fitz gets buried under some rubble and stuff. Coulson puts the cure, we find out that Coulson put the cure needle in Daisy's gauntlets when he had handed her gauntlets earlier on before she went out to fight Talbot, and she uses it to get Talbot and to, I guess she turns off his powers or get rid of his powers type thing. And then Daisy just blasts him into space, and that's where we leave him there. I feel like he could be set up. They left that option because they didn't have him. I wonder if they wanted to, because I feel like it would have been way cooler because he's, he given the cure and he has no more powers, is if she had just kind of maybe killed him and just, instead of sending him into space where potentially he could float back into Earth and, thaw out or land on a different planet, thaw out and come back type thing. I think it would have been way cooler and more of an interesting scene as if Daisy had quaked him and he just kind of exploded and just went poof. There's nothing left of him type thing. His whole body just kind of have a quake from the inside out, and just kind of burst him. But maybe it's a bit too violent for TV, so they decided to throw him into space. And then they end up uncovering Fitz to find out that he's been cut almost halfway through the torso, completely not able to feel his legs, and he starts going delusional, and he ends up dying right there. And it's disappointing that I don't know why they didn't give Simmons a moment with him. I mean, I'm glad they didn't because that's a bit cliche, but it still is a great moment just seeing her face when Mac walks in the room and he's dead, and it's just the sheer face, his face is just all, completely distraught. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with that and how things are going to go with Simmons for a season 6, since we do know this has been confirmed there. Coulson ends up walking away and going to Tahiti since he knows he only has a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks to live, and he ends up going to Tahiti with May for them to just hang out as he dies type thing, and the rest of the team just take off to go on, just go do their own thing type thing. And it's quite interesting to see where things are going to go with all this. I definitely want to see what's going to happen to Simmons. She ends up packing all of Fitz's stuff and putting it all away. And at the same time, I kind of wondering that with the way things are ending with this, Coulson, quote unquote, dying, the way they end this season is kind of suggesting that showing up with season 6. It'll probably start off with May joining back the rest of the team, and Coulson died a long time ago, or maybe them actually having, maybe them actually having a funeral for Coulson and Fitz, and then actually burying them and all that, and that could be the end, the beginning opening for season 6. Now we do know that we recently confirmed that season 6 would be a shorter season, and so when they wrote this show originally, they did not have that intentions to. They didn't know they were going to get a season 6, but I think when they wrote this, they may or may not have known that Coulson was going to be in Captain Marvel. Maybe they knew that he already had his date when he needed to be on set, right, to film Captain Marvel. So I think that's really going to be cool to see where things go with that. And I think, the fact that they, Marvel and Disney wanted the show to have it, to force them to force ABC to renew it for another 5th season. And they forced them to do it again, probably for a 6th season, but, they're just complying to the bare minimum, which I think is going to be an interesting idea. I just hope that it still gets the same entire season budget. If it got, I don't know how many, maybe my numbers are completely off. I don't know what the season-long budget is, how much money Marvel or Disney, whatever, gives them for the entire season. If they got $100 million for 22 episodes this season, then give them $100 million for 10 episodes, and there you go, do it like that, which I doubt that they do that. Maybe probably a lot less, more like maybe $50 million for the whole thing type thing, or maybe $1 million an episode, $22 million for 22 episodes, and put that $22 million into 10 episodes, and then every episode has twice the amount of budget, and can double it in the special effects can look a lot better. They can have more time to do it. They can finish everything all off. It could be more like the Netflix shows where it's all one story, and they can really fine tune it. They can not be filler episodes. I really like the way they can do that. I think that's really going to be cool to see where things go with S.H.I.E.L.D. The sad part is that usually things like this are the signs of the show not lasting it type thing. So we're gonna have to wait and see where things go with this. Now, I think if depending on what happens to Captain Marvel, if we do have some modern scenes with Coulson and stuff, who knows where things are gonna go. Part of me is wondering that, obviously the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys did not know the ending of Infinity War. They did not know how things were going to end because they didn't implement it into this season. But I think if they did talk to the movie guys and just wondering if they do know the general idea of Avengers 4. If you've seen Avengers Infinity War and you've seen the fallout of that, you have a general idea that Avengers 4 has to set up some obvious, have to involve some sort of reset type thing. And so I think, thinking if the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys knew about that, I think that could be an interesting idea to see where things go with that and how things are going to play with all that, depending on where the season 6 will end up premiering, if it does take place in the same exact time as the movie. If the season 6 of S.H.I.E.L.D. starts in September and then is over before we even get to Captain Marvel in November, then what's the whole point? I feel like we might have. I feel like this show might start at the beginning of November or at late October and have a 10 episode and have it go just before, and maybe this show end right before Captain Marvel and then leading into Captain Marvel. That could be really cool, and they could tie it together type thing. And I think it could be quite interesting to see that. It would be quite cool to see that. Also, it would be quite interesting to see if they could set it up on S.H.I.E.L.D. as if, even if the Captain Marvel movie, we know it's a flashback whole movie, but I'm hoping that there's, a beginning and a middle, or maybe an end that's in the modern time, and with Coulson looking like, he's not going to be in season 6, how things are going to go with all that. And I don't see how, the whole point for Marvel and Disney saying, no, ABC, you have to renew them for a new season, was to keep Coulson around, to keep him, to remind people that he's still around. Even if people are not watching the show, they'll still see, all the, they'll still see all the ads on TV and stuff, and all that. It will be quite interesting to see that. And I think for the people who haven't watched any of the show, who haven't seen Coulson since he died in the Avengers, it's going to be quite interesting to see how things go with all that. And when they do rewatch him again in Captain Marvel, how is that going to bring up ratings wise for a season 6? So I think it's going to be interesting to see where things go with that. So I think if they were smart, they would probably do it, maybe even premiere the whole show in 2019, after the Captain Marvel has already been out type thing, and started in January or February type thing, so that the show could ride on the success and the fame of having Coulson back in the in the movies, even if it's all technically a giant flashback type thing. So it's really going to be cool to see where things go with all that and how things continue on there and how the things connect. I feel like if that was the whole plan, clearly that was the plan from Disney and stuff, that would have been pretty clear, as to keep Clark Gregg around. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with all this, and I'm hoping that the dying of Fitz and stuff, it was a great moment, and I can't wait to see where things go with all this. But with the end of Infinity War and the direction that that it looks like things, because of Infinity War, have to go for for Avengers 4, I feel like the trickle-down effect could affect S.H.I.E.L.D, and that's how you could get things coming back around. So we're going to have to wait and see where things go with this. It's going to be quite cool to see where we get, like I said, this season 6. If you do it after Captain Marvel, so that, Coulson's already been, so that they could ride the wave of nostalgia with Coulson, after Captain Marvel with that. But then you could also do it so that it's around Avengers 4, and then Coulson and the team and all that stuff could, the S.H.I.E.L.D. show could be affected by that. I think that could be quite cool to see where things are going to go with that. But obviously, since the events of Infinity War did not affect this, were not apparent in here, and clearly the writers did not even know it, because otherwise they definitely would have used that in their show. Because if you watched Infinity War, that is perfect season finale, end of season material to end with, right? So I think it's really going to be cool to see where where things are going to go with Avengers 4, and it looks clearly like that the writers probably have no idea what's going to happen in Avengers 4, but the idea and the rumors of Avengers 4, if they implement those for season 6, just based on some of the rumors, and and to see where things are going to go. If you watch the movie and you look at the rumors, and you can easily predict that there's certain things that have to happen, certain types of, there has to be some sort of I guess, without getting into too much spoilers, but mild spoilers, I guess I'll put down my hand when I'm done, just a reset type thing. So if they decide to reset things in Avengers 4, do the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys know about that? Do they say, hey, is there going to be a reset? And then, that could also affect the show. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go with this, and what timelines take place. When do they put this? When do they premiere this? I mean, they can premiere it wherever they want and say it takes place at what different points. But I think it would definitely be cool if they get a show. I'm not sure how many episodes this is supposed to get, season 6 is supposed to get, but I'll try and put it in the video, and I'll Google it and put it there. Let's see, season 6, is it on IMDb? 13 episodes. Ooh, that's pretty interesting to see that. So we'll have to wait and see where things go with that. It looks like 13 episodes here on IMDb. Who knows where things are going to premiere. Doesn't really give us enough episodes, I don't think, to have it start before Captain Marvel and end after Infinity War. That's too long in between. There's like months in between, and not enough weeks there, unless they put breaks and stuff, unless they could have a couple of episodes around Captain Marvel, and then maybe if they have a really long Christmas break, and then for Infinity War. But we'll have to wait and see where things go with all that. I think that could be quite interesting to see where things go and how things continue on. So I think it could be interesting to see where things go and how things kind of could project and stuff. Hopefully, I think it would be fun to see some sort of connecting episode to Captain Marvel, where this kind of sets it up as a reminiscent, like the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys are reminiscing and reading an old file. They find out about what happened in Captain Marvel afterwards, and they could find out is, reading an old case file, an old story file, maybe an old journal of Coulson's or something, and that's how they've discovered the characters in the show, hear about the events of Captain Marvel and all that. I think that could be quite cool in seeing that. We'll have to wait and see where things go with any of that. But I think it would be quite cool to have some sort of Easter egg connection, and just being that to where things are going. Maybe it's just some sort of, you have someone going through Coulson's, maybe Daisy is going through Coulson's files, and she finds an old story, and it's and it's the Kree Warrior, right? And it's an old Captain Marvel story, and she just starts reading it, right? And then that's kind of like she's reading what the events of Captain Marvel, and I think that could be quite interesting to see that. The writers don't really need to know, get access to the full script of Captain Marvel to connect it. It's just to say that, all the events of Captain Marvel have been logged. Here's the old S.H.I.E.L.D. file, and the team are all aware of it. And then once the movie's out, then you could write it into continuity type thing, as if they've already read it type thing. And it could be interesting to see that, and some sort of Easter connecting with that, kind of like the way they did for Avengers 2, where they found the staff, and they were the ones to call. Coulson decided to let Marie Hill know so she could call in the Avengers, and that kicked off the opening scene for Avengers 2. So I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with all this, and how things kind of connect to the next two movies and where things are going to go. Let me know what you think about having a season 6 with only 13 episodes, and how would you like things are going. Hopefully the budget gets brought up more, because if they just cut the season in half, cut the budget in half, then it's like nothing's really going to change. Then it's just disappointing. But if they can condense the budget of a 22 episode show into 13 episodes, then every episode will almost double in budget. I think that could be awesome for the show, because there is some points where it was really cool seeing Daisy and Talbot go at it, fight and stuff, but it still looked a little CGI. It wasn't as bad as like some of the CW stuff, like the wonky flashes and when you're seeing him run type thing. But it's still like oof, obviously CGI. I mean, clearly it's CGI. They're superheroes fighting, but like it didn't look as polished as it could be. So I think it would be cool to see a little bit of things like that, allowing the creators to kind of work on the whole show, film it all, do it all, and just have it done. Just let it sit down and take as long as they want to work on it. Could be really cool seeing that. If we don't get the show until just before Avengers 4, that's when you have the show, and then they have all kinds of time. The actors could start shooting end of August type thing, or September, and then have the show premiere in like next May, April type thing. That could be an interesting idea. We'll have to wait and see where the things go and how things continue on. So before this gets too long, which is probably already is, but we'll see where things are going to go with all this. Let me know what you think, guys, about this episode, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5, episode 22, the end, and where do you want things to go for season 6, a 13 episode season 6. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?